Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to Mythgard and Middle-earth. My name is Corey Olson, the Tolkien professor, joined as always by my friend Gryfflet, who decided, of course, to hang out during the long holiday break in which he's been waiting here very patiently in Tadrent for us to continue our initial explorations into the greater Dol Amroth region. He's decided to pass his time with the people who are obviously having the most fun in this town. So here we are. Good to be back with you guys. I have missed you all, and I have missed playing Lotro. I haven't gotten to play Lotro in quite a while. So I am excited to be back. And just kind of trying to remember where we are. I mean, I know generally where we are, Belfalis, but we're here in Tadrent. We got to finish up. We did one round, I think, of quests here, and then got some more. So we still have to finish handling the Corsair bandit situation here in the greater Tadrent region. Then we'll be heading down towards Edhellond, and then to this town, which I don't even know what this is, actually. So yeah, we got this other little village down here, and then we'll be heading into Dol Amroth, into the whole big Dol Amroth thing, right? Lots going on there around Dol Amroth, which I'm excited about, because of course I did a whole bunch of quests with Wigan when Wigan came through, but I did not get a chance to. I mean, I remember how many quests I passed up. Because of course Wigan is like super focused compared to Gryfflet, anyway, so as always, when he is doing his journey through the epic, Wigan bequeaths the fun side quests to Gryfflet, and so Gryfflet is looking forward to fulfilling his responsibilities to playing his role here in the greater scheme of my old group. So, yeah, you're right. The next update should add more fishmonger storyline quests in Dol Amroth. Well, I'm not sure. We'll have to see. I'm looking forward to seeing how many of those quests in Dol Amroth really are actually hinging on that fishmonger. But we'll see. We'll see. I'm not going to get ahead of myself here. We still have Tadrent to take care of. All right. So. What's first? Okay, we've got the Overlook. That's not the one yet. We're working up to that. Okay, so we've got disrupting the flow. Hang on a second. What level are these quests? 98 already. Okay. So I don't need to freeze myself yet, now that we've moved into a new region, because I'm only 2 levels ahead, so that's fine. Okay. So, disrupting the flow, we've got to reclaim crates and fight the Overseer. We're collecting mushrooms, and we're defeating corsairs along the road. Sure. Those seem like sensible tasks to undertake, and I don't think I've left any quest rings unclicked upon or anything. I think we've collected all the quests. So Gryfflet can head out. Well, I hope everybody had a fun holiday. I was just talking about Lotro a lot yesterday. I was doing an interview with another podcast, the Cardboard of the Rings podcast. It's a podcast primarily dedicated to the Lord of the Rings living card game, which sounds really awesome. I've never played it, but it sounds really cool. So I was hearing some about that, and the conversation I was having with them. So again, they normally they're talking about the card game, and they know I don't play, so they didn't they didn't just like. They didn't just talk about the card game that I didn't know about. So instead, what we did for the majority of the podcast episode was just kind of we had a general conversation about the adaptation of Tolkien, especially in the context of games, both video games and board games and things like that. It was a really fun discussion, and so they know that I play Lotro, and so Lotro is kind of like my primary frame of reference for that discussion. And there was at least one other Lotro player on the panel there as well. So anyway, that was a lot of fun. So I've not been able to play Lotro, but I have been able to talk about Lotro, which was really kind of, priming my excitement to get back here today. Okay, I'm a little confused. What are these red rings? No, not that one. Apparently not that one either. Oh. Just places where there are corsairs. Right. Like that one I just offed. Okay. Fine. Makes sense. Just making sure that I know what I'm looking for here. Okay, so we'll come up here. Ah, there's the fens where grow the mushrooms. Oh my goodness. Look how drab that swamp is. My expectations are now so high. I mean, there's not a corsair camp there, so I can't expect too much. But yeah, compared to the gorgeous flowers and everything we got in the other swamp. Oh well. It's totally fine. Okay, we've got a marsh turtle quest. How about that? Oh, look, you're right. There is a corsair camp beyond it. Okay, so we'll have like a contrast, right, between the drab swamp and the lovely camp. At least I assume it's lovely. Without even looking at it, I assume that it's lovely, right? Because corsairs. I mean, come on. Let's see, marsh turtle. Woohoo! Oh, that marsh turtle was having none of it. Right? The marsh turtle is like, what? Positional advantage? I'll show you positional advantage. Okay, snappers in the shallows. What do we have here? Turtles in the marshlands have grown aggressive in the wake of the Corsair invasion. Why? Their sharpened beaks are known to penetrate even armor of fine make. Sure, yeah, well, that's clear. So efforts to rout the Corsairs by force might be hindered by the marsh turtles. Why are the local marsh turtles the sworn allies of the Corsairs? Hang on, I'm so confused. The people of Tadrent would be well served by a cull of the turtles. Right, so now we're declaring war on the local turtles? Or have the local turtles declared war on us? Is this some kind of hideous, again, as I suggested, some new alliance between the Corsairs and the turtles? Why have they grown? Inquiring minds want to know. Okay, so like I understand how the, generally I understand how the wildlife was stirred up by the dead folks, for instance, in in the Blackroot Vale. But why on earth are the turtles? I mean, it's suggesting cause and effect, right? Between the arrival of the Corsairs and the aggression of the turtles. Why? Why should that be? Why should that be? And if they are roused, the local turtles, if there is some affront that the local... I mean, it's not even obvious to me why the local turtles should have noticed the arrival of the Corsairs. I mean, have the Corsairs been molesting them? Oh. Got an angry turtle. Pay no attention to the invisible, mostly submerged hobbit. Oh, I almost got you, huh? Okay. They poison me? Really? Venomous turtles? Anyway, so why? Yeah. I mean, I would have thought that maybe the turtles would rise up, in defense of their homeland. Kind of like the Ents, except faster moving. I still have my Thane of Hootbold title on, really? Well, I did work pretty hard for that. Okay. Oh, hang on. I gotta look around for more mushrooms, meanwhile. Your eye catches a big orange mushroom in the marsh. Oh. I'm sure this will go well. Is this mushroom gonna rise up against me as well? Rowdy corsairs. Up to no good. Forget the order, let's burn the village down? Okay, guys. First of all, this guy's wearing drab. You can tell that he is defying the orders of his, superiors, because no compliant Corsair who's really on board with the invasion of Gondor would dress like that. Are there going to be more? Okay. That screen text was suggesting to me that there were going to be more, but I guess not. Yeah, and I agree. Big kind of undersells that enormous mushroom. The other ones were sufficiently big. Okay. All right. Gryfflet is managing the turtle attacks here so far. Oh man, he keeps not quite being able to one-shot them. So close, but not quite. All right. Well, I still don't truly understand the mystery of the... turtles. What? Sorry, I just unstealthed myself when trying to stealth myself. Should I try nibbling the edge of the mushroom? Yeah. Could work. Not sure if I'm prepared to face the consequences, though. So what is it that they keep doing? Relish battle HOT? What does that even mean? I'm not sure I know how to parse that particular thing. HOT, right? Heal over time. But what does it have to do with relish? I mean, I was clearly not approaching the situation with relish. I wasn't applying relish to anything. DNT, relish, battle, HOT. Relish battle is a burglar self-heal? Oh, so that's a good thing that's happening there. Relish battle. Okay, relish battle's a skill. Okay. Got it. Right. So, of course, right. In some RPGs, food heals, so the same applies to condiments, potentially. JJ, I think it's a good theory. Okay, relish battle. Got it. Okay, not I see. If as a skill name, so I thought that was a thing that was happening to me. I thought it was a negative condition imposed by the turtles. Oh yes, thank you. One-shotted the turtle. Been trying that there, but okay, all right. Okay. How many more turtles we got? 2 more, huh? Okay. Oh, hey, JJ, I have an answer to a question you asked a long time ago. And I get... Oh, 2 in a row. Sweet. I've kept not getting around to it, but I have an answer. JJ, ages ago, asked the question. In Rohan, I think you asked this while we were still in Rohan, JJ. In Rohan, there's the Eastham net and the Westham net. What's up with that? What does the M-net mean? Why are they called that? That's a really good question. The answer appears to be, this is from Shippy. I think this is in Road to Middle-earth. His theory, Shippy's theory about what that means, because it's not a straight-up Old English word, which makes it a particularly interesting one. Right. I mean, there are times when he's using for place names in Rohan just straight up Old English words. Like, for instance, Meduseld. Right. Meduseld, the name of the hall, it just means mead hall in Old English. And Edoras, the name of the city, Edoras, it means buildings, plural, in Old English, right? So it's like the, mead hall in the midst of town is essentially what Meduseld in the midst of Edoras means. And that's pretty common. Like, Tolkien loves doing that kind of thing. So there are a bunch of the Rohirric names that are kind of like that, but the Westham net and Eastham net doesn't work like that. Like, he's not just taking a standard Old English word and using it in the normal way like that. So what is that? More in a second. While their sharp beaks could have also posed a threat to the nearby corsairs. Yeah, but were they? Like, I can't feel like that quest was a missed opportunity. I should have been rallying the local turtles, right? A quest chain which would have culminated with Gryfflet leading a turtle charge into the camp of the corsairs would clearly have been much cooler than just slaughtering a whole bunch of the poor local turtles. But anyway, okay. Right, you have done the people of Tadrent a great service, but not inferior service, unfortunately. Future efforts to rout the corsairs will no longer be threatened by the marsh's wildlife, and yet you will have to do so without the assistance of said wildlife. What direction am I facing? Oh, that's Tadrent. Right. Okay, facing back towards the town. Great. Okay. Okay, so I got the mushrooms. I cleared the turtle quest. I still have corsairs to defeat. And the overseer, whom I suspect of being in that little camp that we were looking at. Okay, so Shippy's theory, JJ, of what Mnet means is that this is not one of those examples where Tolkien is taking a common word. Instead, this is one of those examples when Tolkien is really playing, in fact, where he is putting forward a philological theory in the naming of one of his locations. Something that he can't prove, but that he has ideas about. He does this a lot, right? A lot, like, basically, if Tolkien had a theory about his about something, right, which he did not have enough evidence to actually publish anything on, academically speaking, he would totally just put it in the Lord of the Rings, right? And that was his way of kind of bringing out these ideas and utilizing these ideas without kind of taking academic risks, in a sense, right? I mean, and not just risks. Like, I mean, he was a responsible scholar. You know, he wasn't going to put forward ideas that he couldn't support. But nevertheless, he still had them, and some of them he felt pretty confident about, right? I mean, he really believed in them enough to put them in the book, right? But there wasn't enough to there wasn't enough to publish it. So anyway, I think that the Mnet thing is one of those. There's a village in Norfolk. This is Shippy's theory. There's a village in Norfolk called Emneth, Emneth, and Tolkien had ideas about what that meant. This was another one of Tolkien's hobbies, by the way. Tolkien loved this. Again, this is literally a thing he would do for fun, is look at maps, especially England maps, and find the names of local towns and find the names of local towns and come up with philological theories explaining how, like, why the towns, where the town names came from, right? He loved thinking about town names and the origin of town names, which he found a really fascinating kind of field of not field of study, that makes it sound all formal. A very I don't know, fascinating area of inquiry, right? And so he'd come up with ideas of, like, what the name was originally based on, what language it came from, and, like, what were the, like, likely stages by which it shifted to its current thing. You can see him explicitly playing with this in his story, Farmer Giles of Ham. In Farmer Giles of Ham, one of the, like, premises of the entire work is this, basically. Like, if you read Farmer Giles of Ham, you get to the end, and the kind of in as much as there is a punchline of that work, the punchline of the work, oh, here we are. The punchline of the work is about English place names. He talks about how the events of his story of Farmer Giles of Ham explain the names of some towns which are actual towns in England. So anyway, like, this is the kind of thing that he loved doing. So there's this town named Emneth, and Tolkien's theory was that this was derived from probably an Old English word, which meant something like plain or prairie. And so he adapted this within Rohan. So his use of the Emnet suffix, which is not exactly a suffix, but it's sort of suffix-esque, in West Emnet and East Emnet, when he not only deployed the name, but he deployed it. But notice the way that he deployed it, right? He does not only use the name as it, like, for he didn't just, like, make a town called Emneth, in Rohan. Instead, he uses it this way to sort of show what it means, right? There's the whole place. Rohan is all a prairie, right? It's all an open plain. So he takes this word, which he theorizes meant that, right? And that's where the village name came from. And so he sort of shows it by making it part of the division. So you divide Rohan into like the Eastern Prairie and the Western Prairie, right? And that's how it works. At least that's his theory about how that worked. So anyhow, that's oh man, guy can't shoot me through the tent, can he? Where's the guy who was shooting me? I'm in combat, but I can't tell with whom. The Paisley tents, I just can't even. I mean, and I love the little porticos on the little canopies, right? And they're lovely because they're not just practical. Right? It's not just like your standard rain canopy on the front of a tent. No, these are decorative, right? Primarily decorative. The way they fan up, right? With their nice little purple banners attached. And these cozy little, wooden-based pup tents, which look like, baskets on their sides, with the gorgeous textured embroidery, right? And paisley coverings. Man. Oops, not quite far enough away, huh? Oh well. We must be. How have I only defeated 4 corsairs? Are these dudes not counting? I guess they are counting. Am I still being shot? Yeah, I am. By whom? Oh, you. Yeah, come over here. Oh, that's right. I forgot you're an archer. You won't pursue me. Anyway, so that, well, I was going to say that's the answer. That's Shippy's answer, and it certainly, he knows more about this stuff than I do, for sure. So I trust Shippy's answer, and it seems exactly like the kind of thing that Tolkien would do, right? So embedded in the name of the Eastamnet and the Westamnet is his theory about where the name Emneth comes from in that village in Northfolk. So exactly, my theory is that was Tolkien's theory. Well, no, Shippy's theory is that was Tolkien's theory. I can't take credit for the theory, but yes, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. And this tent, look at that. We've got the double flare. And I love the little, it's got a beak, right? I mean, this whole tent, it looks like a gorgeous pink eagle, right? Or not an eagle, like maybe an egret or something, like something with a crest up above its head, right? Like the pink crowned diadem above the, with the swooping gold and blue with a pink underlayer. Oh man, like just like a gorgeous, gorgeous water bird or something. Yeah, pretty cool. Let's see what's inside this gorgeous tent. Oh, it's okay. It doesn't stick out. I thought from that angle, I thought that stuck out like a beak. Still, from the front, it still does look that way. But why is it? Just got this little triangular hanging there, just purely for aesthetics. They do go for the combination of many, many colors, as we've seen. Nothing in here but corsairs. Okay. You might ask, like, who was I expecting? Well, as you notice, Gryfflet is only bothering to... he only needs 8 corsairs, and there's like 150 of them in this camp. So he's only picking fights with those. Here's the captain. No. It's not. He's only picking fights with those that are standing near treasure. I have to fight the Corsair overseer. That's not him? No, it's not. Tabadam. Well, I'm not going to bother you yet, Tabadam, because I don't have a quest to do that. So let me find... Huh. The overseer's down here? I didn't see him down here. Maybe I just overlooked him. Archer up on top. Backpack over here. Wait a second. The Corsair Archer is yellow? He's 98. These guys are 98. Why is he yellow and the other ones are blue? I thought they had, like, the highest level guy up on that perch up there. Where's the overseer? Is he this way? Do I have to leave the camp to find... Is there a cliff? There is. They have like a gateway out to... It's not a cliff. There's a little cunning path this way. All right. Nothing here but goats. Do these goats oversee the Corsairs? Maybe that hound? Perhaps it's the hind down there. Maybe it's the fox. That's the likeliest theory of all. Probably the fox. Confused. I am confused. Fight the Corsair Overseer. Reclaim crates. Reclaim crates. The crates... That's right? Yeah, the crates quest is the orange one. And they're all theoretically behind me. Out here. Are they stealthed crates? There's nothing here but livestock and wild fauna. Oh. Down there, huh? On a little ayat. Another one of Tolkien's theories, by the way. Tolkien theorized that the word ayat had a specific meaning, that it meant an... Oh, Gryfflet one-shots the Overseer. That was sweet, Gryfflet. That the word ayat meant an island in the middle of a stream, which is sometimes underwater and sometimes not. I don't know that this is actually an ayat. I think it's just an island. But, yeah. So he uses the word that way in The Lord of the Rings. Okay. Yay, Stokesafford. Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, I'm answering questions. Especially if today is going to be a crate collection and Corsair slaying day. There's plenty of time for more lore questions. Oh, right. I should probably actually wait for my stealth to cool down before I try to get behind that dude. Okay. Oh, what's going on here? I've defeated many Corsairs. Helped make the road safe. Okay. Good, good. Woohoo! And there we are. Level 101. Hang on a second. If I am remembering correctly, my new legendary item system lessons, is 101 one of those? But no, it's not. Is it? one of those points where I can upgrade and get new stuff? Is 101 the important level for that? It is? Yeah. Right. It's a reforge moment. Uh-huh. Okay. I thought so. Might be worth doing. Right, one level above a previous level cap. Yeah. Okay, that's what right. That's why I thought I remembered that 101 was wrong, but I couldn't remember if there was one at 101 or if I had to wait all the way till 106. Okay, found the crates and the overseer cunningly hidden. Well, outside, they decided to hide their stolen stuff outside the heavily defended camp. Though it is patrolled by this rather intimidating looking rabbit who is lurching toward me with wild surmise. Okay, Phil says, I see we're still getting runes as quest rewards. Any news on when they'll be useful for anything? I haven't heard. I mean, I don't have my ear to the ground on this, though I have heard that it will be happening. Okay. February. There we are. Thanks, Druid's Fire. Maybe the Overseer is up to something. Maybe he's up to something that the rest of the Corsairs don't know about, right? That is possible. Okay. Wait a second. I don't have any quests for the boss dude. I assume I will get one. But, okay. No, that's it. Time to head back to town. Which I assume I can loop around this way. I should be able to. Road should be just up here. Maybe this is part of the import process. That is, maybe those crates, those stolen crates, have just been lately stolen from off the road here, and they're working on bringing them into their camp, and that's what all of those Corsairs were busy about. That seems possible. That goat was that goat was just eyeing Gryfflet on the way past. Maybe it was maybe he's heard of Gryfflet and Gryfflet's recent victory in the crucial war on turtles that was just declared, and that goat has been a longtime enemy of the turtles and is grateful for Gryfflet's intervention. That's my theory. That's my theory. Okay. All right. Stokesford, I see your question. Let me turn in these quests first, and then when they send me out on my next set of tasks, which I don't doubt they will, I will address your question, which is a Tom Bombadil question. Okay, great. Fingan 120, and I see your question also. Great. We'll see if I can get to those. What took you so long? Okay. Why is there a big orange mushroom in here? You know that one is poisonous? Ooh, is it? It's not that I was trying to feed it to you or anything. Oh, good. No more Hylam quests. Unless Bruindus is going to punish me by sending me back to him.
How may I help you, friend?
Your deeds have given us the upper hand and returned some of the missing supplies. However, the Corsair camp surely suspects that we are the source of this aggression. We need to act fast or our village will be the first to fall. Okay. No problem. Rossaron once told me that to cut the vein tying the head to the chest is to bleed the enemy dry. Yes, that would do the trick all right. I believe that Captain Tabadam of Makam Mijan is that vein, and you, Gryfflet, are the blade. Okay. Sure. That is a vivid image there, Bruidis. As much as we need to investigate Edhellond, first you should enter Maham Mijan, find the captain in the camp and defeat him. Know just where he is. Tabadam is surely one of the Corsair captains your friend Jajax spoke ill against. Okay, great. Ooh, what do I get? Ooh, a hoodie. That would be fun, but I'll get the helmet because we're going medium armor. Yet another helmet which just is not an upgrade, but part of my... Hang on, I gotta remind myself. What is my cosmetic stock for local gear? What do we have? We've got Helmet of the White Mountains, Valleys, Lamadon Cloak, Valleys. I got mostly Valley gear. So this would be the beginning of my Great Shore collection. Okay. And it's good because I never did get a helmet of the Valleys. Okay. All right. Oh, that's right. My reinforced jacket of the Valleys, which is not bearing the sigil. So I had to wait to Lamadon to get a Blackroot Veil piece of armor. Okay, no worries. Helmet of the Great Shore. Let's start collecting the Great Shore and maybe hope beyond hope that it's a different cosmetic style.
How may I help you, friend?
Oh, no, sorry. I meant to accept. Did I not accept that, Brudies? Apologies. I meant to accept that. And that's it. Okay. This might be the culmination of my Tadrent experience here. While I sneak back, let me look at your first question here. Oh, we got 3 questions. Look at this. Excellent. Stokesiford was asking, is Tom Bombadil an enlightened being? He is unaffected by the Ring of Power, which is a symbol for temptation, from my understanding, and wanders seeking to guide those in the right way. Oh, I see. So first of all, I mean, the question is deploying... I mean, I know very little about Buddhism, but it sounds like you're kind of deploying a Buddhist framework there in the question. And it's tough. I mean, I'm reluctant to really kind of go there at all, just because, boy, only Corsairs would accessorize with their floaty names, right? I mean, look at that guy. He's like, today I'm going to put on my turquoise sash because it really makes my floaty name pop. I'm telling you, Corsairs are just in a class by themselves. Anyway, so let me cut over land here. Yeah. So is he an enlightened being, like in the like Buddhist sense of enlightenment? I'm not saying that one cannot apply, such a schema, but we can only do so in the full knowledge and recognition of the fact that we're essentially asking about something that we're asking the text a question it can't answer. So we always have to be careful with that, right? Let me give a silly example of what I'm talking about. It's dangerous to ask the text a question that it is incapable of answering, that is just like beyond the paradigm of the text, right? So for instance, if we were to say, do we think that King Theoden would prefer coffee or tea? How does one answer that question, right? Like, they're there's no evidence actually of either one of those beverages in Middle Earth, though I would be willing to assume that they had tea. Oh, look at this. I came here. I'm being told by the guy who does not see me that I'm not leaving alive, and a bunch of landscape quests pop up. I was wondering why I got no landscape quests yet. Okay, what do we need? Fight corsairs? Okay, I've done that already. If I'd known... Why did they wait to pop them up until you... I mean, if I had not been sneaking through, I'd have already slaughtered 3/4 of the camp before I even got that quest. That would have been really vexing. The corsairs are using towers in their camp. Yeah, I noticed that. Do I burn the towers with the archers in them? That would be the real challenge. Uh-oh. Oh, okay, there we go. I was lagging there on my button clicking for a second. Yes, there you are, Drowsnake. Thank you. Yes, Frodo did not serve her any tea. Yep. Okay, great. They're having tea, of course, in The Hobbit. Absolutely. Yep. No, in the Shire, they definitely have tea. But there's no evidence of coffee. Right. There's no evidence of coffee. So, to ask the question, I mean, is there coffee? I don't think there's coffee in Middle-earth. And so, we can't sensibly ask the question. I'm not saying it's impossible to ask the question, but we can't sensibly answer the question. Right? Because... it's just not... It's not only that we have no data for that question. It's that there is no possibility of acquiring data for that question, to answer that question. And therefore, we can't... it's a question you just have to be careful about answering, or asking, rather. Now, I give that as an example because it's obvious, right? I mean, it's obvious. If there's no reason to think that there is coffee, then it's obviously impossible to answer the question, which, beverage would Theoden prefer of the two? Yeah. I mean, I could have said something like, does Theoden prefer Coke or Pepsi, Drowsnake? That would, I suppose, be an even sillier version of what I'm talking about. Anyway, the point is that it seems to me very clear that Tolkien did not have in mind any Buddhist categories, right? So, I'm not saying that you can't apply those categories if you want to, right? I mean, there's no reason that you can't say, well, all right, I know what an enlightened being is, right? So, and based on the definition of enlightened being, right, I'm gonna see if Tom Bombadil seems to fit that. That category. You can do that. There's no reason not to do that for fun if you want to, but it's a little bit dangerous. When I say dangerous, I mean it is possible to begin building up a whole sort of irrelevant system, if you see what I mean. Going to be trying, let's see if I can set fire to the guard tower with the guard still in it. Uh-oh. Nice. Oh, but I don't get credit for him. Okay, no, I do. Okay. Okay. That's kind of satisfying. Right, coffee is used in The Hobbit, but not in The Lord of the Rings. That's pretty typical. That's right. The dwarves call for coffee at the unexpected party. Anyway, okay. So do you see the point that I'm making? It's hard because when you start doing that, when you start applying uh, external schemas like that, external to the whole sort of worldview and setup of the book. You set yourself up for potential problems. So it's always something I'm cautious about and wanting to be careful with. Does that make sense? So I'm not trying to dodge your question. We can talk about Tom Bombadil, but I just that's the first thing that comes to mind is like, I just want to kind of first drop a like danger, Will Robinson. Like when you begin asking this kind of question, it's easy to begin building up a theory, which is going to move more like further and further away from the text. The books themselves are not at all interested in the question, who is or who is not an enlightened being from a Buddhist standpoint. It's just not a category that works in Tolkien. Again, not saying it isn't one that can't be applied. We can try to answer the question. We just have to be careful, right? Because here's where the danger lies. Once you answer that question, what do you do with that answer? What does that answer get you, if you see what I mean? Okay, having established that let's imagine that we do establish that Tom Bombadil is very like an enlightened being, as described by Buddhism. Let's say that we were to draw that conclusion. So what? What now? Right. Again, it might be like kind of fun to think about it from that angle, but what do we do next? Does this help us understand Tom Bombadil better? I don't think it should. You know what I mean? Does it inform? Do we start doing this with everybody? Right? Do we go through and start asking, okay, well, great. So then let's see who's enlightened and who's not in Tolkien's world. But again, every time we answer that question, we're, again, sort of answering a non-question, right? We're kind of not coming closer and closer to understanding the text, but actually kind of getting farther and farther from understanding the text. I totally hit the wrong button when attacking this Corsair. So, like, again, this is why I think it's just important to remember this issue. Yeah, JJ, that's a really good illustration. It would be like reading Journey to the West, the, greatest, most famous, fantasy story in Chinese history. Like modern Chinese history anyway. And trying to apply a Christian template to it. Comparisons and contrasts with Christianity would be fine, but it won't fit perfectly as it wasn't part of it. Yes. And JJ, I agree that is the way, and you're right. Maple Pines, Tolkien does not have a background in Buddhism. That's very true. JJ, that's exactly how I would encourage this line of inquiry. Like, if you're interested in this kind of question, the thing to ask, it's the phrasing of the question that makes me twitch. It's the phrasing of the question. That is he an enlightened being? Well, I don't even need to think about it. My answer is no, he's not. Like, because Tolkien was not thinking in those terms, Tolkien didn't, as far as I know anything about that. So, was Tolkien's Tom Bombadil an enlightened being? No. I don't even need to think about it. I don't even need to. That is, I don't even need to look at Tom Bombadil, and look at the Buddhist definition of an enlightened being to answer the question. But what JJ suggests, I think, is the much more profitable way to go about it. If instead you keep the things separate but compare and contrast, right? If you say, okay, let's look at Tom Bombadil over here, and let's think about the definition of an enlightened being over here, and let's look at the similarities and differences between how Tolkien depicts Tom Bombadil and how an enlightened being is understood over here in Buddhism, right? And as long as we're consciously looking back and forth, then we're not going to get confused. Well, we're less likely. So one can always get confused, but we're less likely to be confused. We're less likely to blur lines. I have seen this happen. I have seen people ask a question like this and come around to like finding a lot of similarities, right? And then like really, really, really trying to convince themselves that like this proves like the fact that Tom Bombadil is so much like, and I'm not saying he necessarily is, but is so much like an enlightened being that like it really suggests that Tolkien must actually have known about Buddhism, right? In fact, this is evidence that he knew about. You see what I mean? Like, I've seen people talk themselves around in that kind of direction. Not about this question in particular, but similar kinds of things. Yeah. JJ says, then we won't get confused. Challenge accepted. Okay. So yeah, that's, do you see what I mean? So if we think about it in that way, compare and contrast, the depiction of Tom Bombadil and the Buddhist concept of an enlightened being, what are the similarities and the differences between those two things? There, as long as we keep it on that level, we're on safe ground, right? And frankly, this is true of almost any other schema. I'm not just like trying to, first of all, where is the last tower? For crying out loud. I can't find it. What am I missing? A guard tower? Where's the last lonely guard tower? Maybe my map will assist. Yeah, it's like right in front of me. Ish. Anyway, this is, I don't mean just to diss Buddhism in a privileged way. It's just kind of an obvious example because they're so, here it is. They hid it behind the cliff there. It's just kind of a clear example because Tolkien didn't know about it as far as there's any evidence whatsoever. But honestly, the same, you have to be just as cautious with things that Tolkien did know. So like, for instance, it might be really tempting to say something like Tom Bombadil is, Vainamoinen from the Kalevala, right? Like, Tom Bombadil is like a character taken straight out of the Kalevala, right? Now, that's quite plausible. Tolkien loved the Kalevala and did all kinds of stuff with the Kalevala. So what could be more likely? And when you compare Tom Bombadil to a character like Vainamoinen in the Kalevala, there are people who have made this argument that basically Tom Bombadil is essentially Vainamoinen. Yeah, you can absolutely make that argument. You can completely convince yourself of that. But one still has to be careful, and one has to be careful in exactly the same way. Whenever you're bringing in a paradigm that is outside the text, no matter what that paradigm is. Maybe it's something we know Tolkien knew and loved, like the Kalevala. Maybe we know it's something that Tolkien says he was consciously using, like Catholic theology, right? You still can't just assume it. You still just can't like blindly apply it and draw an equal, like a facile equal sign between the two things, right? You always have to do really careful comparison and contrast. And in some cases, you can then advance from that to say, not only
I think that Tom Bombadil is very similar to Wainamoinen. You can, in some cases, then go on and add, I think it's more than just similarity. I think that there is, conscious imitation here on Tolkien's part. I think there's evidence to believe that the character of Wainamoinen was actually, that there's real influence here. I'm not saying I necessarily believe that. I think even that connection is a little too simplistic. But if you want to go on and make that kind of an argument, again, you can do it. But even with things that we know Tolkien knew and loved, you have to be careful with it. You have to do it with caution. And when you're applying it to something that we can be pretty sure that Tolkien did not know anything about, then you have to apply a double helping of caution in that case. So anyway, Stokesiford, this is me going on for half an hour not answering your question, for which I apologize. But it's a really important issue in literary criticism and just kind of knowing how to proceed with this stuff. So I hope you will excuse my digression here. Okay, let's see. Where was that guy with the two chests? Not like two chest cavities, but I got 2 more corsairs I need to get, and I've got to was Wainamoinen in The Day the Earth Froze? JJ, is that the one they did in MSD3K? The film adaptation of the Kalevala? Answer, yes. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he was. My family and my family are big MSD3K fans, and we watched that relatively recently, and I think he was. But anyway, okay. Okay, so let me back up a step then. And say, slightly reframing your question in the way that I myself suggested, yes, I think there are some really interesting similarities between Tom Bombadil and an enlightened being, in that I do agree that... Now, I don't know too much about Buddhism either, so I'm not going to pretend. Just hitting random buttons, trying to attack somebody, and I'm just checking my inventory instead, like you do. Anyway, I am kind of dangerous to myself and others when I'm trying to do something while I'm talking, which I'm doing more or less continuously while I'm streaming, which is why my gameplay is so often very comical while I'm streaming. So I can only hope that that's something of a comedic perk to the stream. I know my kids find my gameplay hilarious. You have defeated many corsairs at Mahamijan and decimated the encampment. But did I, though? I didn't count. There aren't 140 of them here, are there? Corsairs, I mean. Sorry, being picky about the word decimate. To decimate something means to kill 1/10 of them. Yeah. Anyway, all right. I'm gonna go out the back door since I'm right next to the back door. But anyway, Stokesiford, sorry, I was just threatening to actually answer your question and say, yes, I think that there are many similarities. The core thing that I think if I'm understanding the Buddhist concept correctly, and you can correct me if I'm not, the thing that I think is most similar, right, most suggestive there, is that the reason why Tom Bombadil is not affected by the ring. He's not affected by the... he's not, his lack of temptation to the ring, I believe, is not a testament to his power. He's not so powerful that he is untempted by the ring. He is, in my belief, my theory is, and we were talking about this in Exploring the Lord of the Rings recently, by which I mean in the last year, that I believe that Tom Bombadil is not tempted by the ring, not because he's so powerful, but because he is so content. Tom Bombadil lacks nothing, wants nothing he doesn't have. He is a picture of perfect contentment with his life and surroundings. The ring's angle towards people is, I can help you achieve your goals and attain that which you desire. And the more powerful you are, and the more easily you can rationalize your desires, right? I'm thinking here of Gandalf or Galadriel, but Gandalf explicitly, right? When he talks about how the way of the ring to his heart is through the desire to do good, right? The power to give him the power to do good. Gandalf is different from Tom Bombadil, right? What is the difference between a moss gathering stone and a stone doomed to rolling? Well, part of Gandalf's identity, part of his mission, is not to be content with the status quo, right? He's not. He is. He desires to save the world, right? Tom Bombadil is perfectly content. He doesn't want more. He doesn't want power. He doesn't need more power. Not just because he has an infinite supply. He's got plenty, but not an infinite supply. But because he's got no goals, no goals that are not achieved, right? And so there is a sense in which I think that the kind of, but see, and again, this is I'm speaking here from a very ignorant perspective on Buddhism. I know very little about Buddhism, but again, my understanding here is that enlightenment is not about the fulfillment of desire, but about the removal of desire, right? When one is freed, or one becomes enlightened by being freed from desire. And I don't think that's Tom Bombadil. I think he is contented. He is satisfied, but that's different from saying he has no desire. That he has, that's my theory there. There are similarities. I mean, the kind of state of perfect contentment that Tom Bombadil lives in, which does, I think, make him immune to the lure of the ring. The ring has nothing to latch onto when it's trying to hook Tom Bombadil. But again, I don't think that's because he has risen above all temporal desires. I think it's because he has fulfilled his desires and has everything that he wants, and that's not the same. So I think that although there are some similarities, I suspect those similarities to be largely superficial. And that state of the core concept of the relationship with desires, with temporal, fleshly, worldly desires, that is at the core, as I understand, of Buddhist philosophy, strikes me as almost entirely alien to Tolkien's world. I'm trying to think of anywhere in Tolkien's world where that kind of thing is advocated by anyone. And I really can't. Like, it's not an issue. It's not quite, do they prefer Coke or Pepsi, Drowsnake, as you suggested? But it's almost like that. I mean, yeah. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, so again, I'm not saying that any, like, that comparison and contrast between Buddhist frames of mind and Buddhist philosophy and the Lord of the Rings, it's like wholly fruitless. Like, it's the comparison and contrast question is definitely a question to be asked and an interesting one. But my sense is that most similarities between Tolkien's world and the Buddhist perspective are superficial. I really think so, because that, again, that the core element of, stepping outside of all, desire. And again, I may have a really crude and inaccurate understanding of that principle of Buddhism. But from everything that I see or have seen, it seems to me utterly alien to Tolkien's world, so far as I can tell. But anyway, so that's my really fascinating question. Thanks for raising that. Okay, Broodies.
These are troublesome times.
Oh, you're welcome. No, it was my pleasure to help the town of Tadrent. The farmers and merchants of Tadrent shall always remember me. Oh, well, that's thoughtful. I would accept a very small statue because I'm a small person. So, but if you maybe like in a little niche, if you could make a little niche somewhere with a little Gryfflet statue someday, that would be really cool. It doesn't even have to be marble or anything. Maybe the children could work on that. They seem to have time on their hands, but anyway, they should be able to resume shipping. Oh, good. Very good. The Corsairs are planning something in Edhellond, and I'm certain the other 2 captains you seek reside to the west. Because I was seeking 3 captains because of Jajax, right? Yeah, okay, I remember. I remember now. Great. Okay, I want the helm of the Great Shore. Yes, I do. The roads are safe enough for us to return to them and ship these much-needed provisions to Dol Amroth. I shall tell your deeds to my husband upon his return to the havens. Rossaron will surely want to meet you one day, and I hope to meet him. And what's more, Broodies, I have real hope of meeting him, not only because I'm going to be heading to Gondor for the Battle of Pelennor Field, but because, and let me whisper, Broodies, he's not in the song, and that's really good news, right? So maybe I'll be able to actually establish a long-term relationship with Rossaron, unlike the lamentably short-term relationship that I established with so many others. You must make haste to Ost Lontir, where the caretakers of Ost Lontir reside. Okay. I'm sure they are already aware of the situation at Edhellond. Is that little town along the way that I didn't know the name of? Probably is. You could be of much needed assistance to the people of Ost Lontir. Great. Yeah, will do. Thanks for the referral. And off we go to Ost Lontir. Yes, indeed. There we go. One town down, next town coming up. Okay. Oh, so many questions today. Awesome. Hey, Lungorthin Lord. I see. Sorry, Fingon and Gowan for Life. I see your question. Let me just answer Lungorthin Lord's question while I'm looking at it right now because it's a short one. Morgoth was a god, right? Then how did he not make things? He is not a god. He is not a god. This was something, a theological principle that Tolkien really landed firmly on in the midst of writing The Lord of the Rings and adhered to firmly for the rest of his career, even though it created serious problems with his world building thereafter. And that principle is only God can create. Evil cannot create. Evil is not capable of creating. It can only twist and pervert good things that already have been created by God. Frodo explains to Sam this principle on the stairs of Cirith Ungol when Sam is speculating that the orcs probably just live on foul air and poison, and what's going on here? There's a patrol happening. Is that a warband? No, just running corsairs. Okay, interesting. I have apparently no opinion about that. Okay, I'm not going to go to... Whoa, look, here they come. It's going to get out the way of the rushing gang of corsairs there. Anyway, so yeah. So right, Sam was saying, do they live on fire and poison? And Frodo said, no, that's not possible. They're regular creatures. Like orcs are like, normal air breathing, food eating, water requiring creatures like every other mammal. The Dark Lord is not capable. It's not possible for him to do that. This is what creates the orc problem. This is why the orcs are an enduring problem in Tolkien's world. Because originally, when he invented orcs, that did not follow. He did have Morgoth creating them, basically, just making them from scratch. But yeah, he doesn't. He goes back against that and says, no. They must have been created. They must have been derived from beings created by Iluvatar and just twisted by Morgoth. So Morgoth, not a god. He's analogous, not identical to, not an equal sign, but he is analogous to Satan in the Christian tradition. He is of an angelic order and fell. Again, same principle. Didn't create himself either, in that sense. Sorry, let me, I need some space. Oh, hang on. First of all, also, this is important. Let's see. Let me deselect my cloak so I can see my hat. And is this a new hat? Cosmetic equipping and go. Oh, it's not. Same hat. Well, fine. Got my Blackroot Veil breastplate and my Lamedon cloak. Maybe at least I can find something there. Okay, ooh. Hang on. And we've got some... Wait a second. Got some... That's right, I put it on here. No, I don't do that. Wait, hang on, no, I do this. I take my sword and put my sword there. That's what I do. Okay. And then I use them. What did I want to use them on? I wanted to use them on this one. My surprise strike damage. Yeah. Look at me. No, wait, hang on. I drag them. That's what I do. I drag them. And then I use them. Boom. Okay. Look at me remembering. Okay, that's good. That's good. Got a lot of junk. It's time to clean out ye old inventory here. Okay. Very good. Ooh, hey, I forgot to get my presents. Can't have that. Oh, scraps. Not so much fun. Ooh. Ooh. A pet? Let's see. What do we have? Ooh, it's a mount. It's a mount. Hang on. This is exciting. Mounts? Yeah. Oh. Huh. Let's see. A hobby deer. Really? Really? What's the speed on the hobby deer? Speed 13% as opposed to 62. So it is in fact significantly slower than other mounts, right? Okay. Right. Okay, yes, so, and I see, no, I've not had a hobby horse, but this is my first hobby horse. Well, hobby deer, apparently. Yeah, no, this was my first one. Yeah, okay. That's not dignified. Probably not making a great first impression right now, but that's okay. Upgraded riding skill makes it faster. Oh, well, that's good. That's good. Okay, but yes, folks are exactly correct. Dirt Cobain, that like making a language, that's not creation, that's subcreation, right? That's just invention. And as JJ says, anybody can do that. It's not. You can make things, right? At the end of the day, subcreation, which is Tolkien's coinage, right? I mean, he made that word up. It's not to say that only God can create things. Is to use a strict definition of the word create. Humans can be makers. We can make stuff, but we always make stuff out of raw materials that we are provided, right? You can make a chair, but you can't create the wood, right? You can plant a tree and grow a tree, but you didn't make the seed, right? You didn't create the seed. You can make up a story, but it's based on things that you've seen and experienced, right? Even an immaterial thing like that, right, is still based on what you've experienced and seen. Even things that you make up completely out of your fantasy, as they would have said in the Middle Ages, right? Like you invent a world which is unlike our world, but it still starts with our world, right? And then varies from it. Like you're never working from scratch, right? You're never just causing something to be out of nowhere. Even with immaterial things. Tolkien coining the word subcreation is elevating that somewhat. Like he is saying that when we do that kind of thing, like make a story and create a world and that kind of thing, we are doing something that is analogous to God's creation, but it's not the same thing. I mean, you're not bringing something into being out of nowhere. Not only evil things can't do that, nobody can do that except God. And even the Valar can't do that, and Morgoth is one of them. So Morgoth can't create anything because he's not a god. The Middle Earth is an absolutely monotheistic system. It sounds polytheistic, but it isn't. It's easy to get the impression, like if you just read the Lord of the Rings, or even if you read the Silmarillion inattentively, it's possible to think that Middle Earth is polytheistic, but it's not polytheistic. There are delegated powers. The Valar are running the show, but they're only the stewards. They're not the kings. So, yeah. Anyway, okay. And yes, the Black Speech had been made in mockery and twisting the original good languages devised by the elves and Nera Valar Gawain for life. No, probably not. By the way, do you prefer the pronunciation Gawain or Gawain? Both are legitimate. Gawain seems to be the Middle English pronunciation, at least in the context of alliterative verse, almost certainly. Gawain is the French translation. So when you're reading Chrétien de Troyes, it's Gawain, clearly Gawain. He's rhyming on the Gawain syllable. Whereas when you're reading like Sir Gawain and the Green Knight, it's almost certainly Gawain, with stress on the first syllable. Which do you prefer in your name? I don't want to force upon you a pronunciation that you don't prefer there of that good knight's name. But going for Middle English, okay, yeah. Well, there's some French versions where Gawain is pretty cool, but yeah, I mean, I agree. Like in Middle English, he's like the man, right? So Lancelot, as the number one knight, that's totally a French thing, right? Gawain was the number one knight in the English tradition, almost all of it, until the French tradition gets imported, especially by Mallory, who went on an aggressive anti-Gawain, pro-Lancelot campaign. Sir Thomas Mallory did. But anyway. Okay. Sorry, Gillinor. So first, I ride a hobby horse into town and then I just stand here doing nothing for a long time. So Gillanor probably has a very low opinion indeed of Gryfflet, but we'll see what we can do about that. I have grown wary of accepting help from those I do not know, yet I fear the time has passed to be so discriminative. Really? That's your principle. I resolve to apply less critical thinking in future. I'm not sure. That's a great move, really. If you would aid us here, I will see you rewarded. Okay. My only reward is that justice is done. You have come at a fortuitous time. My people have great need of one with your skills. Really? You need a burglar? That's great. Is there a treasure? Do I need to sneak into a dragon horde? Is that... For the corsairs raid the havens even as we speak. Oh, so it sounds like you have a burglar problem, actually. What you need is an anti-burglar, not more burglars, right? But anyway, it's fine. I can help with the corsairs too. I'll be a counter-burglar. How does that sound? There's much to be done, but with so many raids, we have had precious little time to bolster our defenses or even tend to simple tasks. Okay, so you're gonna turf the simple tasks onto me, huh? Got it. Very few remain here, but I am certain you can aid them in some way if you are willing. Fine. Okay. I'm happy to do it. Those that remain, you mean like those quests or tasks that remain? I bet that's what you do mean. Okay. Excellent. All right. Yeah, I'm being hired as a professional consultant, sort of. I fear it's a rather inglamorous consult. Okay, so as the official consultant to Ost Lontir, my first perspective is, look, your walls are awesome. I mean, like, you have one generally defensible town right here, which is super impressive, but you have too many gates. Way too many gates. I mean, look at this. Right here where I can see you've got 3 enormous gates. Why do you need that many gates? You can have like little postern doors, but you're really undermining the effectiveness of your walls by having quite so many gates. But I suppose it's too late to do too much about that. They were inspired by the elves of Eregion. Bad choice there, if so. Okay, Londhir.
Our lands were once peaceful.
Hey, thanks for welcoming me. The light waiting to be snuffed out. Is that your town motto? Okay, my second act as consultant to Ost Lontir is we need a better motto. The light waiting to be snuffed out will not do. I think I'm going to go out on a limb and say I think it's bad for morale. I really do. I think we can improve on it. How about the light which endures, or the light on a hill which cannot be hid? Because it doesn't need to be hid, right? There's lots of better options, I think, here, Londhir. I do not see any reason to stay here, and if it were not for my wife, I would have long since fled to Dol Amroth. I assume your wife is here and not in Dol Amroth, Londhir, right? I'm assuming. I'm hoping for the best here for your marital state. I suppose if I'm stuck here, I may as well enlist your aid in protecting us. Do you have a moment? Okay, Sourpuss. What do you think? I do not think we are safe here. Well, not perfectly safe. Corsair, but if you had fewer gates, corsairs have been spreading through our lands like a great blight. But a fashionable one, Londhir. There's still much you can learn from them. I mean, look, I'm sorry, but let's look at your ensemble here. It's not horrible. Kind of like the frogs on the front there. I mean, that's nice. That's nice, but so restrained. So restrained. No pink anywhere. No turquoise. Anyway, okay. Yeah. Maybe the guards think it amusing to have a drunk corsair right outside our walls, but I do not. They are planning something for Ost Lontir. I don't... Oh, wait, there's a drunk corsair? Maybe it's my friend. If you could search the overlooks to the east and west of town for any sign of the corsairs, I'd be grateful. and maybe I could actually sleep tonight. Okay. I'll look around and see if I can if I meet any individually drunken corsairs who may or may not be friends of mine. Oh, this looks serious. This is a grim situation. Man, this is like, this tableau I call good parenting. This is a good parenting tableau. First we have Mom, who is having none of it, right? She stands there with her arms akimbo, making it perfectly clear through her body language and demeanor that the unacceptable behavior which has plainly been demonstrated by these two children will not be tolerated, right? She's to everything in her posture says, I will not be moved. I shall not succumb to your pleas. And like, weep as you will. It does not change the fact that, like, what you did was unacceptable. And the father, without undermining the clearly demonstrated discipline of the mom, kneels down to their level to speak to them, right, and address them. This is a teaching moment, right? The father is taking the teaching moment to show them the way forward, right? Correct what they did wrong and explain, the positive course of action. And he does that by bringing his face down to their level, right? I think this is... now, I'm not sure who's responsible. It is possible. I mean, the boy looks very shamefaced, and it's possible that he did something to the girl, and she's upset about it, and the father is scolding the boy. But I think not. And the reason I think not is the mother's positioning, right? Her morally uncompromising stance of disapproval is pointed directly between the both of them. She's not facing the boy, right? If she were facing the boy and kind of shoulder to shoulder with the girl, it would suggest that she's taking her part and castigating the boy. But I think they both did wrong, and they're expressing it differently. He's expressing it by a manful shamefacedness, and she is crying. But I believe those to be tears of shame, not tears of sorrow, in my opinion. Mikey Geek's theory was that somebody just told these children the town motto. That's possible, but no, they've clearly done wrong. I mean, look at the mom. I'm sorry. Like, she is like, even though I'm wearing a cunning little capelet on top and poofy sleeves, I am not amused. But anyway, like I say, good parenting going on here. I absolutely approve of that combination of firmness, compassion, and excellent communication skills. The only way it could have been improved is if one of them were wearing a poofy hat, but I suppose that's theoretically irrelevant to their parenting skills. Okay, anyway, I think I've now digressed from my digression, which was originally itself a digression. So my hopes of getting back to what I was originally talking about. We were talking about Morgoth, and then we got tasks, and then we found out the really horrible... We were hired as a consultant. I discovered the truly awful motto of the town, which needs improvement. And we have to look out for... apparently a staggering drunken J-Jax has been spotted. Okay, Canadel, what do you have here? What do we think?
I greet you, friend.
You're glad I've come to Ost Lontir, because you've needed a nomenclature and motto consultant for a long time. For it means that perhaps not all hope is lost. The enemy rallies in the north, and I find our days growing darker as more corsairs spill from the sea into Gondor. With you here, one more can stand against those that strike at us, and we can work to push the corsairs from our home. There we go. Did you have a quest for me? Or just words of encouragement? I guess not. Maybe you'll have one later. Okay, I'll come back. Shall I? See, JJ, I was hesitating to speculate about that. I thought of that, but I didn't want to... Yeah, that is the speculation that maybe the kids are responsible for the propaganda campaign that established the town motto. I was hoping the town motto was not, in fact, the fault of those children. Because if so, there's a serious teaching moment, and I can see why the mom is so upset. But, yeah. Okay, oh, and I've got to go to the beacon. Which beacon? Which beacon? It's those that remain? Oh, there's the beacon. Right, just right outside of town. Another beacon. Okay. And maybe that beacon dude will send me back to the other beacon dudes in Lamadan. I mean, to the other beacons in Lamadan. Okay, that's fine. So, that's it. I just go to the overlooks and then hit the beacon. Whoops, and we're running out of time. Now, I don't have my normal time constraints because it is, in fact, the first snow day of the year today. So I don't have to go. Wait a second. Why are the beacons lit? The beacons are lit? Who lit the beacons? Is this a different beacon chain, do you think? From the, Minas Tirith to Rohan chain, I mean? Is this the overlook? Yeah? Okay. Nothing unusual. Just some goats. Tadrent off in the distance. So are these beacons lit because of the corsairs? Or... and therefore are independent of the Minas Tirith plot? I mean, it's obviously not. We're obviously not between Minas Tirith and Rohan. So is this a separate beacon chain that goes from Dol Amroth to? Because I would assume there'd be several different beacon networks, right? But yeah, I'm thinking about the timing. Where are we? I guess the beacons should be lit. Sorry, I've lost, not only because I've been not doing the epic for a while, but also because the epic itself has gotten to the part of the story where the timing gets tricky and complicated. But I guess... Ooh, Gryfflet's first view of Dol Amroth. Yeah, here, let's, is that the overlook up there? Of course it's by night, but, yeah, the beacons were lit while Gandalf was riding with Pippin. You're right. So yeah, I guess they would be lit. I mean, even the Rohan ones would be lit already. Because I think we're at that time. I mean, we're post Isengard. Aside from a view into the bay, nothing catches your eye. Nothing catches your eye except the spectacular city of Dol Amroth. Concerning which, let us not hasten here. Okay. Lovely. Nothing catches my eye except that obviously Corsair ship. Right snuggling up to the docks there. Doesn't that catch my eye? Look, I can see the gorgeous pink in the dark from a distance. They're not hard to recognize. On the blossoming trees. Is that seasonal? I suppose. It's got to be what? Beginning of March? In game? Right, yes. Gandalf arrives at Minas Tirith while Aragorn is at the Stone of Erech. So yes. Yes. Okay. So all the beacons should be lit. Okay. Cool. All right. Wait. Here I am blithely descending towards Dol Amroth. I'm like being drawn to Dol Amroth, like a bug to a bug zapper. No. Beacon, Gryfflet, beacon. Let's give Carrion a little workout. Carrion has not had any work here. Okay. And okay, that's the town. This is the beacon. Right? Oh, okay. This is right. I don't have to wind up a path. Here we go. Okay. Discovered that, right? Let's dismount. Oh. Nethros. Who are you? Are you like that other guy? What was his name? I'm forgetting his name. It was really comical. The dude by the Stone of Erech. By the Hill of Erech. What was his name? The Swan Knight dude? It wasn't the same guy. Was it? What was his name? It was like accidentally comical. JJ, was that movie influence sneaking in about the beacons not being lit until after they arrived? No, I just couldn't remember where in the chronology we were. Again, as I said, we've been so far away from the main. It's been months since I've been back at the main plot, so I was trying to remember the dates and stuff. Okay, Beacon Warden. Can I just say to begin with, love your hauberk there, right? That blue is gorgeous. Gorgeous blue with the Numenorian stars. I'm loving that. You're not exactly a sartorial match for the corsairs, but you come closer than anyone else I've met in these lands. Rovalong. That's it. Rovalong. I knew it was a comical name. Rovalong. Good old Rovalong. Okay, let's see. What do you think here, Borodon?
How may I help you, friend?
If you have come expecting to see the splendor of Gondor, I'm afraid you will find it rather dulled. It's still quite splendid, Borodon. It really is. The city of the prince is as beautiful as ever. Well, I thought so too. But grim times have come to the havens. If you have a moment more to speak with me, there is something I would like to show you. Well, okay. I'd be happy to see.
These are troublesome times indeed.
Okay. Oh, you're welcome. You can have plenty of my time, Borodon. That's what I'm here for, to do errands, come up with a new motto. There are things you must be made aware of if you seek to aid our people. To the west, Dol Amroth overlooks the bay, and a glorious city it is. Yet, we stand at the edge of ruin as corsairs run rampant throughout our lands. I do not ask anything of you but to understand what is at stake. Look to Dol Amroth and understand what could be lost if we fail to defend ourselves. Okay. I'm looking. In the distance, the shining city of Dol Amroth overlooks the Bay of Belfalas. And it's pitch dark. Okay. What do you say, Borodon? It is beautiful. Yeah, should the war turn against us, you can consider yourself fortunate to have looked upon it. Alas, it is not the only thing I wish you to see. To the north lies the ancient elf haven of Edhellond, and more importantly, those who would seek to claim our lands. It is one thing to tell you of this, but another to look upon it with your own eyes. Look to Edhellond and see the ships that have claimed the harbor. Okay. Well, I already have another quest, as it happens, to look out over Edhellond. And this is the last beacon quest. Oh, am I supposed to look from here? Okay, hang on. All right. Can I see Edhellond from here, or could I if it were not? Oh, yeah, it does. There it is. Okay. Ooh, big old statue in the middle. What's not to like? Okay. Oh, and I do see ships. There they are, the ships, which I think in the dark, hard to... Ooh, look in the other statue. Oh, I have a theory. I have a theory. Oh, even from here, I think I know what those statues must be. Looks like we have a female on the coast holding her hand out toward the masculine statue out to sea. I think this must be Amroth and Nimrodel, right? Almost has to be. Amroth and Nimrodel, that's what I meant. Amroth. Wrong dude. Amroth and Nimrodel, yeah, I think it almost has to be. It almost has to be. Awesome. Can't wait. Can't wait. Okay, anyway, yeah, that's... Oh, sorry, I was supposed to be looking at the Corsair ships, which are manifestly... Yes. Okay. Yep, I see. There's your problem right there, Bordon.
These are troublesome times.
This is no small raid. The people of Belfalas face an invasion on our shores, and unless we can discover a means to defend ourselves, with so many of our warriors gone to the east, I fear our lands shall soon fall to the enemy. That's a problem. That's a problem. Okay. Let's see. Do you have anything for me here, Netheros? Your friend Hopalong. No. Tagalong? No. Rovalong. Yeah. Rovalong was a good friend, and he had quests for me, but you're just... Okay, maybe... I'll be back, Netheros. Okay. All right. Oh, yeah. Amroth and Nimrodel statues. How fun is that? Okay. Oop. Oh, hang on. Oh, is this is the drunken dude? Nassar? Never heard of him. What do you think, Othor? Keeping a close eye on him, are we?
I greet you, friend.
What am I to do? We are granted the good fortune of having the enemy stumble into our town. That's good. Okay. But we have gotten naught but meandering stories about sailing from him so far. I have a feeling he might be more easily persuaded to part with his captain's plans if we provide him more ale. Okay. My men and I were sharing a drink earlier today by the fountains. Perhaps 3 mugs will be enough to get him talking. Okay, ply the Corsair, the topless, boringly dressed Corsair, who is probably drinking himself into oblivion just at the knowledge of how plainly he's dressed. What he really needs is not more beer, I think. What he really needs is... an overhaul, a little color in his ensemble. Okay. Great, I've got some beer. Yeah, he might have sold his clothes for drinks, Dragon Rider. That's a really good theory. He probably came in with a nice, like, turquoise sash, not slash. Nice turquoise sash, and he's still got his sarong, which is lovely. The really dark purple, so dark as to be like almost like navy blue, with that orange which matches your pants. You know, it's still working for you, though. That's a really muted sash you're wearing. Very laid-back color.
This is intolerable.
He knows the word hobbit? That's remarkable. Who are you really? Who are you? Wait, sorry, what'd you say? Oops. A fine ale, my compliments. You must not have a very good time drinking so little, though. My men down the coast, they know how it's done. Oh, more, huh? Yeah, Thor, that's what you think, too? He's already told me a few things, and spoke some nigh incoherent ramblings about Tarlang's crown. We need to know more. Oh yeah, they're up at Tarlang's crown, all right. It pains me to do this, both for myself and my men, but I have no choice. I purchased a barrel of ale for my men this morning to raise spirits in Ost Lontir, but it seems nothing short of nearly drowning will satisfy this man. Return to me with the barrel, and we'll see what else we can get out of Nassar. Okay. Okay. Man, that's a lot of beer. Excuse me. Carrying an invisible barrel. Coming through.
What news do you bring, traveler?
I have a feeling this will be enough to draw some valuable secrets from him. Secrets that I am sure Gillanor and others here would be eager to exploit. Take it from here. Ooh. Belfalla's cloak. Sweet. Ooh. And an actual upgrade, too. Mostly. Less so in vitality, but it's got critical rating, which is nice. Yeah, no, I think that one's the move. Now that might be enough. Keep him coming, Swan Man. That's pretty good. Okay, hang on. Let us... Boom. And... This is the one? Oh, no, wait, hang on. Let me de-equip it. And then there's my Belfalla's cloak. Let's see. Ooh. Oh! Lovely! Oh, yes! Okay. So the cosmetic set is very similar, but the cloak. Not sure I love that brown and that green together, but that's okay. It is striking. Maybe the corsairs will accept me as one of them if I wear bright enough colors. Do you think? Okay, all right, I'm running out of time here. Let me turn in my quests, though. Okay, Mildir.
Have you heard the rumors of
It is comforting to know that they are not on our doorstep today, but I still fear what the future holds. You have done me a great service, as simple as it may have been. What is that? A haystack? Uh-oh, there's a sneezing haystack. Hang on. I think we have time to investigate sneezing haystacks. Don't let sneezing haystacks lie. A small child leaps out of the haystack and runs away. Oh, is that what those kids were up to? Making haystacks sneeze? They really should be ashamed of themselves.
The soldiers of Gondor have all...
Confound that child! If he were a corsair, I would have... Bah! You have done enough for me, Gryfflet. If children are to be the worst of my problems, I shall count myself lucky. Ost Lontir, where the children are very naughty indeed. Not a great motto, but still an upgrade. Okay, Gillanor.
How may I help you?
It is true that times are grim for my people. With so many gone to the aid of the steward at Minas Tirith in the east, we were left ill-prepared for a corsair attack. It was necessary, but now I fear that we have left ourselves far too exposed. If you would aid me, we could strike back against the corsairs and keep safe the people of Belfalas. I'm game.
These are troublesome times indeed.
As it stands, we are ill-prepared to wage any sort of counterattack against the corsairs. Our prince and many men have traveled to the east, leaving us with little to work with. However, I have heard talk of corsair spies acting as messengers to their forces near Tadrent and even as far east as Lamadan. If you were to catch one of them by surprise, it is likely that the information they bear could be used to our advantage. They are not known to travel by road, so you may have to seek them out. Bring any orders you find to me, and we shall see if hope yet remains. Okay. Oh, more, huh?
How may
The
I
corsairs are relentless. They are not content to seize a piece of Gondor's history alone. So now they stalk our roads as well. You think your history is what they're after? Maybe. The people of Ost Lontir are frightened, and they have good reason to be. The enemy is at our gates, and each day brings renewed attacks on all of Belfalas. We must push them back, and I can see no better place to start than the corsairs that roam the roads to the north. Oh, the patrols. Yeah, okay. I did see them roaming. They roam swiftly, too. If we can contain their numbers to Edhellond, we can begin to mount a proper defense. Okay. All right. By land and sea. No, Canadell still doesn't have a quest for me. So I think that's it. Yes, indeed. All right. Okay, well, we shall resume. We're headed up towards Edhellond. These quests are taking us up towards Edhellond. Great, so we'll be able to fold in the epic quest then next time. Cool. Cool. All right. Awesome. Well, thank you guys for joining me. It has been great fun to be back. Gryfflet's making some excellent progress here in Belfalas. Maybe we'll get to Dol Amroth next time. Maybe we will, or at least the outskirts thereof. But anyway, thanks for joining me. This was a lot of fun, and I will see you guys next week. I should be back. I should be here for most of January. I might there might be a time I have to leave for a weekend, but I'm not sure that there will. So anyway, looking forward to further Gryfflet streams as we go. Thank you guys again for joining me. See you guys next week. Bye now. Thanks for joining in on my rambles around Standing Stone's brilliant digital adaptation of Tolkien's world. If you enjoy these adventures, please consider supporting this and other entertaining educational programming by donating at signumuniversity.org/fund.